Hello everybody, welcome back to Deadlock. Today we're going to be talking about counterbuilding. Because you'd think that as someone who's playing games up in Oracle 3, like moderately high-level games, so I'm obviously not Eternus Ascendant, any of that, but decently high-level games, you'd think you'd see people in my games actually counterbuilding every game. But this video brought to you by I'm sad that people aren't counterbuilding. So I'm going to talk about it and maybe make more people aware of how counterbuilding works in this game, what items to look into, what items to buy, etc, etc, etc. So let's hop into things. So this giant pile of items you see in front of you is effectively a good chunk of the items that you use to counterbuild in this game. There are a lot of them. Counterbuilding is actually generally straightforward, and it's pretty easy to do, but you just have to understand what's happening. I'm going to start by focusing on anti-heal, because anti-heal is one of the most basic parts of the game. So there's lots of characters that have healing. One of the easiest examples that I can think of off the top of my head is Dynamo here. Dynamo has a giant AoE aura around him that does indeed just heal everybody. There are tons of other heroes that have other pieces of healing in their kit, tons of other heroes that heal, like off the top of my head, let's see. Apollo has built-in healing, Billy has built-in healing. Kelvin has built-in heal. Well, Billy doesn't have built-in healing. Every Billy builds healing, so may as well. Geist has built-in healing. Mina has built-in healing. There's just lots of it. Lots and lots of healing in this game. So, you should probably build anti-heal. What items build anti-heal? Well, there's about 2 per category that are solid anti-heal options. For the gun characters out there, there's toxic bullets, which are you shoot people until you build up the ability, and then they have their healing reduced. Fairly straightforward. Crippling headshot actually is just you hit a headshot and they get healing reduction. A little easier to proc, but it's a very expensive item. Healbane's probably the easiest one to apply, considering it just happens. You hit spirit damage, and for 8 seconds they have 35% healing reduction. This item is almost a must-buy in most higher levels of play, because it's just such an easy way to reduce healing, and it's 1,600 souls. It's very easy to buy. Another pretty good anti-heal option out there, though, is Inhibitor. Your bullets build up and reduce healing reduction. Build up healing reduction. Oh goodness, talking is hard some days. And to reduce outgoing damage. It's an anti-dive item. It's really good for all those characters building a ton of lifesteal and just running at you. Next is the true spirit options, i.e. their purple items, in Decay, which is just an active item that does a really big chunk of healing reduction over a certain rate, at a certain range of just clicking on a person. This one's a little weirder than some of the rest of them. A lot of the rest of them are just you shoot or cast abilities. Decay, you have to actually aim and click on a person. Provides damage over time, and it reduces their healing while it's on them. It's a very cleansable effect like all of these, however, the more you have, the better it is. Spirit Burn's a very popular one that I think a lot of people just don't know has anti-heal built in to it. There's just a 70% healing reduction applied to people for 8 seconds if you trigger Spirit Burn. It's a lot stronger than people realize. Most of these items are in fact very strong. Decay's a pretty solid damage over time. It ticks pretty aggressively. Spirit Burn's a big damage item. Inhibitor's just good. Healbane's cheap early and gives spirit power. And Toxic Bullets has a great damage over time, and Crippling Headshots also reduces spirit and bullet resist. Like, all these items are just good. You should probably be building them regardless of the anti-healing effect. But it's better to focus on building them over other items in games where you really need the idea of, oh, they have a lot of healing, I need to take care of that. This next set of items is what I like to call the screw that guy set of items, but that's, that's kind of a rude way of referring to them, so they're labeled as anti-actives. Most of these are all active items that are more or less made to go, hey, that person's being a problem doing this thing, this will take care of it. Decay is also technically one of them, it's just that it's predominantly focused on healing and inflicting a damage over time, so, it's a bit... It goes in both categories, but it's predominantly anti-heal. Slowing Hex and Spirit Sap are early powerful things that help anti certain characters. Turning off movement-based abilities and removing move speed and dash distance is really strong. This hits Calico and Mina especially hard, for example. Yes, this doesn't do a ton early in terms of saying, hey, that guy needs to die, or hey, I'm turning off that guy's abilities, but it turns into Focus Lens. So Spirit Sap is quite good. It also just makes them weaker and makes them take more spirit damage. Like, it's just a good anti-that guy item. The next 3 are all absolutely screw that one guy in particular level items. Knockdown is all about applying a stun to somebody. However, it's mostly good against characters that go up in the air. Pocket is a great example of it. Pocket floats around through the air while using their barrage. So if you get a knockdown put on you while you're up in the air, either setting up or coming down from barrage, you'll get knocked down and stunned for longer if you get hit by a knockdown. This is mostly for characters like Vindicta and Grey Talon, who spend most of the time up in the air, but it's also really effective against like Celeste and Apollo, who spend a lot of the time floating and bouncing around. It's a really good item. There's a reason most supports build it, and it's in almost every support build you'll find out there. Same with Disarming Hex. It is the I want you to stop shooting me for 4 seconds button. There's a lot of heroes this is good against, but off the top of my head, Drifter, Haze, Wraith are the 3 biggest red flags to use Disarming Hex on. Silver is also up there when they're transformed. Really good item. Silence Wave is less of a I want this guy to stop doing stuff button and more of a I want to kill that guy button. It's usually bought on characters like Haze to combo with their Sleep Knife, where you sleep them, you silence them, then you do a bunch of stuff to them. It also does actually do damage, so it triggers on damage effects as well. It doesn't interrupt channels, but it is still a silence ability. It's also good on like Victor, for example, because you can just silence him really fast and it's pretty cheap at 3,200 souls. These next 2 items are super anti this guy needs to go items with Focus Lens and Cursed Relic. Focus Lens is typically something that you would build on carries to make sure that you win your 1v1s by silencing someone, reducing their spirit resistance, spirit power, and making sure they take extra damage when the silence wears off. It also is just something that upgrades some spirit sap, so it's pretty good to build one early into the other one later. Hit your power spikes, hit your 4.8k spikes, etc, etc. Cursed Relic actually recently got a change to make it so that you just deal 8% less damage if you own the item. Doesn't stop most people from buying it anyway. 8% damage in a game where your damage numbers get wildly inflated is not as much as you'd think, and this item is super necessary to deal with certain characters. 3.25 second duration that does get extended by item duration effects means that for basically 3 full seconds, someone just doesn't get to play the game. This is really good into your Minas and Victors of the world, and honestly, if you pull open the hero roster, it's kind of hard to point to a carry hero that this isn't good against. It's good against Seven, it's good against Infernus, good against Drifter, good against Victor, I already said that, I know. Good against Yamato because they can't pop their ultimate, good against Viper because they have a really hard time getting off some of their stuff. It's just an incredibly powerful active item that is really good against just shutting down those carries that are running at you and killing you super fast and allowing your team to turn on them and kill them. Most good teams that you run into in ranked will usually have bought one of these on at least one, if not more than one people on the team. And you might look at that 8% damage penalty and go, but I need to make sure I'm killing people. If your team can't kill the enemy Victor that's running at you at Mach 20, buy Cursed Relic. Make him at least have to stop for 3 seconds to give you time to fight the rest of the team while he can't do anything. Alright, so this next set of items are a bit more nebulous than the rest of them. Anti-heal and anti-character actives typically have pretty clear-cut use case scenarios. Disarming Hex is good for the gun heroes, knockdowns for the flyers, Cursed Relic is for the victors of the world, anti-heals for anyone that heals. These protection-based things and these defensive-based things are a bit more use case scenario, but we're going to start by talking about the protective active items that you can get. Spell Magic is one of the best freaking items in this game. The ability to just purge all non-ultimate, very important, non-ultimate negative effects currently applied to you is massive. It also gives you a chunk of healing and a move speed bonus for 3 seconds after popping it. You usually have to be very careful with when you pop this, because when you pop it, it cleanses everything that's on you. If you're in the middle of a fight and people are still throwing stuff at you, you're just going to get all those effects reapplied to yourself. It's still incredibly powerful, and it's one of the best defensive green items you can buy that is selfish, but man, you still have to be very careful with when you pop it. It also comes with 16% spirit resist, which is really nice because a lot of spirit characters like to apply a lot of debuffs to people. Next on the list of these fancy items is Metal Skin, which is literally, I push button, bullets don't do anything. If the enemy team has more than one bullet carry, this becomes an almost must-buy because, first of all, it just comes with 15% bullet resist. And then also, you press the button, and then for 5 seconds, those bullet heroes don't hurt you. Yes, there are lots of ways that bullet heroes get around items like this. I believe that armor-piercing rounds goes through it, but those interactions have changed, so forgive me if I'm incorrect. But the item is still very strong against any hero that just wants to hold left-click against you. Counterspell is a very powerful item that sees more play the better you get at the game, because learning how to parry in the first place is such a big part of the skill floor of this game, that learning how to parry and then learning how to parry damage from the effects of enemy abilities and items means that you're just getting higher and higher up in terms of the more complex parts of the game. The bottom line is you parry, but instead of parrying the melee, you parry an ability. And it just basically completely negates it, whatever ability was going to hit you. And you get a heal, and you get spirit power, and you get move speed. This is an item that I should really buy more and learn to use better because it is very, very strong, but I'm really bad about using it. So, you know, don't be like me, be better than me. Learn how to use Counterspell. Divine Barrier is an upgrade from Guardian Ward. Forgot the name of the item. It removes all non-stun debuffs from the target and provides them with a barrier and move speed. You can apply this to yourself as well, by the way. This doesn't have to be applied on someone else. The cooldown is reduced by half when you put it on someone else, though. You'll usually see Rem and Paige buying this almost every single game because both of them use it really effectively in tandem with the rest of their kits. The item's just really, really strong. Being able to cleanse effects off of other people or yourself is really good. If you're a support player at all, buy this item. And you could argue to buy this on carries as well if you're just lacking other green items to buy and you don't want Dispel Magic for some reason. I suppose if they're all running like general gun builds and they don't have a lot of spirit stuff, Divine Barrier could be an option, but these both function pretty identically. It's just that Divine Barrier is usually the item that the supports buy to save their teammates. Unstoppable is the "oh my god, please stop stunning me, enemy team, I just want to play the game" button. It can't be used while you're stunned or slept, but if you preemptively pop it for 5.5 seconds, they can't hit you with most powerful status effects of the game, including stun, silence, sleep, roots, and disarms. Meaning that for the next 5.5 seconds, you're just going to run at the enemy team until they're dead. Or until you're dead, one way or the other. It also gives you debuff resistant bonus health, and that's just nice to have. It also upgrades some debuff reducers, so if you're buying that early for your green spike, it can turn into this later. Colossus is another one of those just good active items. It functions similar to Unstoppable, and that you activate it and you gain a bunch of resistances. It's just that this resists bullet damage and spirit damage and gives enemies near you minus move speed. It also just gives you a percentage of base health, which is a pretty rare upgrade, as well as actual base health, as well as a percentage of weapon damage, which is all just really good all combined together. It's a great item, 10 out of 10. Use it on your brawler bruiser characters that are having trouble staying alive. This next pile of items is basically just the "I want to not die as often" pile of items. When you have other actives that your character wants to buy or other actives that your character needs to buy over these. Pocket's a great example. Pocket really, really likes to buy Warpstone to get in and out of fights, as well as Arctic Blast in order to do as much damage as possible. And since you are limited to only having 4 active slots, you can't always buy Metal Skin, Dispel Magic, Unstoppable, and have room for Arctic Blast and Warpstone, right? So a lot of these items take the place of those other items, or are just good to buy in tandem with those other items, or just good defensive items. This top row here is basically the green items that you buy in lane to get through the laning phase alive. Battle Vest is basically the anti-bullet item that also helps you be a better bullet hero. Enchanter's Emblem is the anti-spirit item that helps you be a better spirit hero. Reactive Barrier is good if you are against characters like Abrams or Billy who knock you around and move you around, because you regen stamina and get a barrier when you're hit with these CC abilities. Spirit Shielding is good for when a Pocket keeps throwing their suitcase at you or throwing their cloak at you. We keep getting lash smacked or something along those lines because it gives you a barrier in response so you can keep fighting after you've gotten hit. Weapon Shielding is pretty similar, but for weapon damage. This top row is all great items that will get you through laning phases really easily and all be very, very strong for those laning phases. But as the game goes on, you probably want to sell them because their effects aren't as strong as other items. So that's what the second row is for. We're all choosing to ignore that plated armor magically appeared. Got it? Got it. The second row is items that are more about buying the "I want that thing to stop killing me" as fast, and I don't want to buy active items to help with it. Spirit Resilience and Bullet Resilience are just good items that help you deal with these things. 30% Spirit Resist, 30% Bullet Resist, and when you drop below 40% health, you get an extra 22% of one or the other. If the enemy team is like 5 Spirit Heroes, buying Spirit Resilience is almost always a good idea. 30% flat resistance on top of the 22% when you get low just makes you much, much harder to kill. Same applies for the other side of things. If the enemy team is building all orange stuff, just buy Bullet Resilience. You'll be better off. Spellbreaker is another item that builds off of Debuff Remover, which is good at keeping debuffs off of you and also giving you just a bunch of spirit resist. But the most important thing is the next instance of high spirit damage you take is significantly reduced. So the next bit of damage you take that's 175 damage or higher gets reduced by 75%. You know, Bebop Bomb, Lash Slam, Pocket Suitcase, even Arctic Blast, Calico Bombs, Calico Ult, all these big bursts of spirit damage that'll hit you, this just reduces them by 75%. It's only up every 9 seconds, so it'll only save you from certain big hits. It's mostly an like Bebop/Lash item, where like they have these very targeted single hits of big damage that they're going to hit you with that this will really help with. but it can help against other heroes as well. Witchmail is a pretty powerful anti-spirit item that when you take hits of heavy spirit damage, which is only 75 to be honest, you just randomly get 4 seconds of cooldown reduction. This passive triggers only every X amount of time. I believe at the moment it's at 1 second, which is crazy fast, by the way. So in fights where you're just eating lots of spirit damage, your cooldowns will just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. If you're going against a team that's like 4, 5, even 6 spirit players, spirit resilience and witchmail together make you nigh unkillable and make it so that you just have lots of cooldowns coming back over and over and over again. Plated armor is that doubling down of anti-bullet synergy. You gain a chance to deflect incoming bullets, preventing all weapon damage and all on-hit effects, right? So you have a 30% chance to deflect and just reduce damage entirely in the first place, and a 50% chance to just negate on-hit effects. This is really good for characters who are using stuff like toxic bullets and building those up. This is good for characters like Viper, who build up their poison over time. Haze, who builds up fixation stacks. Mina, who builds up love bites on you. All sorts of different effects from bullet heroes. Plated armor is really, really good at stopping them. It's also just a pretty good anti-bullet item because it just means that there's just a chance their bullets don't do anything to you. Plus it gives you the flat bonus health, plus it gives you the 6,400 bonus vitality investment, which if you don't even have another vitality item, gets you past your 4.8k mark and gives you that 500 bonus health on top of whatever stats the item gives you. Don't forget about that stuff. Investment still matters when buying all of these items. The item's really good, and it's a really good anti-gun item. It's worth looking into, but a lot of the time, just flat bullet resist will do the job better and earlier to make you die less. However, if the games get longer and longer and longer, plated armor is really worth a look. That's counter building. It's kind of complicated, as I'm sure you've figured out from listening to this. However, knowing that these are the general items to look for, and that there are bunches of items that just say active on them, and a lot of the active items are the I want this thing to stop doing this thing, is a really good place to start when you're looking for items to help deal with the enemy team. Most of green is all about being defensive in the first place, so looking through the green items and reading them and learning what they all do is also another good way to start. Counterbuilding's not an exact science, because the fact that this game is 6v6 with no repeat heroes in either team means that the odds of you running into the exact same 6 heroes every single game is really, really low. So you just kind of have to learn what items are good for stopping what heroes and move from there. But either way, thanks for hanging out and watching. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. I hope this has been a helpful and informative video. And I hope to catch you in the next one.